Y'all, it is Saturday after, oh God, I just got lip gloss on my teeth. The Saturday after one of the craziest weeks of my life. It was stressful. It was all I could do to groom myself and get ready for this video today. So I hope this is okay. I'm here with no makeup and my glasses so I can see what's going on in front of me. If you're curious to hear what happened to me last week and how I dealt with it and the big lessons that I either learned or was reminded of, come check me out on my other channel called Essential Veronica, where I do makeup and lifestyle and vlogs, lots of chatty videos over there if you're into that sort of thing. And I share what happened and how I reacted to it. I've got 10 fragrances. This is on the heels of me doing a video like this for last weekend that was called Purchase or Pass. This is another sort of purchase or pass kind of video. I went a little bananas with an order to Sephora. I feel like that was 2 weeks ago at this point, and bought, I think it was like 8 or 9 travel sprays. So I've had a chance to test these out. These are just sort of first, maybe second impressions for some of the ones that I've tested a few times. I haven't done full body wears on any of these. So just like on the arm, that kind of thing. And then I have 2 fragrances that were sent to me, one New Notes fragrance and one Day 3 fragrance that I want to share my impressions on. Speaking of Sephora, the spring sale is coming up in the beginning of April. Are you interested in seeing a Sephora fragrances recommendations video? I'm planning to film one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So we're going to come straight out of the gate with the newest release from Juliette Has a Gun, Miami Shake. I was really expecting something that was fluffier, more sort of light in the air, considering that it's named after Miami. And I think of Miami as a really hot, humid city. I've been to Miami many times. The strawberry in the beginning of the scent is noticeable, and it's a very sort of like a fresh strawberry smell, not a sweet version of a strawberry smell. I would say that the strawberry kind of goes away about 30 minutes in, somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. It just kind of fades into the backdrop, and you're left with this fairly dense, thick vanilla fragrance that, in my opinion, has a little bit of a woody background, although I don't see that among the notes listed. And I also think that there's a little touch of fruitiness, maybe from the strawberry or something else that sort of remains throughout, even though it's not like a distinct strawberry smell after that first hour. In the couple of times that I tested this, it had decent staying power, like moderate staying power. And by moderate, I tend to mean somewhere in like the 4 to 6 hour range. So that's fine. And who do I think would like this fragrance? Well, it's supposed to be a fruity, floral gourmand. I don't really sort of get edible touches out of this in terms of my scent experience. In fact, this sort of reminds me of a fragrance that I purchased last year that is pretty complex, Caspian Cherry from Electimus. It has some similar tones to it, although Caspian Cherry is a very, very complex fragrance with a lot happening and a lot of sort of layers to it. This one is a little bit more simplistic, like thick vanilla, a little bit of a woody base. Does anybody else get woods here? And this sort of delicate string of fruitiness throughout the wear of the fragrance. But it's a pretty thick experience. I would rate this probably a 6. Would I purchase a full bottle? Maybe. I definitely want to play with the bottle some more. So I'll just leave this in the maybe category. I do like the bottle for it that has the ombre effect with the blue on the top and the sort of pinkish tones on the bottom. We're going to go next to Valentino, Donna Born in Roma, Extradose. I do happen to like just about everything in this line. I love the little travel sprays and the addition of this extra sleeve with the studs on it. Super duper cute. This fragrance, when I first sprayed it, I was a little bit surprised at how heavy and dense it is. Kind of similar to my surprise for Miami Shake. Let me tell you something about this. Let me tell you something. This is beautiful. You have to enjoy the Donna Born in Roma DNA and imagine that sort of amplified and thickened up for maybe like a nighttime date version. It has a lot of similarities to the intense version that comes in, I think like that black ombre effect bottle. I have that as well, and it's one of my favorite sort of date night types of fragrances. Very, very sexy. This is similar. It has the addition of a rum accord, like a boozy accord. I will tell you, if I didn't know that that existed in this, my mind would not interpret what I'm smelling as a boozy accord. It smells very vanillic, like warm floral ambery, which is supposed to smell like. The perfumer intends that. Because I know there's rum in here, I can sort of detect this boozy aspect to it. And I feel like this has a significant amount of very smooth, like a balmy jasmine. There's different types of jasmines. Some can come across a little bit like a decaying flower. Some can feel a little bit like, well, we won't get into all the details. The way that the jasmine is in here, it feels like it's a balmy, mature jasmine without being indolic. And this one really grew on me. Even though I was a little bit surprised when I first sprayed it and kind of dismissed it, listen to me. You must give something a chance to develop on your skin. You can certainly try on, a blotter. That's only going to give you part of the picture. I mean, in some cases, excuse me, it is the whole picture. But oftentimes a fragrance will evolve and develop on your skin and react to your chemistry and body warmth, and then give it some time and try not to do what I always do. We all do this, stick our nose straight up in it. Perfumes are not intended to be smelled right there, right? They're supposed to diffuse in the air. And so what I always say is spray an article of clothing, something you're going to wash, like a shirt that doesn't have perfume on it, maybe the legs of a pair of pants or something like that. Spray your perfume, leave it on a counter somewhere, leave, come back in a few minutes and kind of hover over the garment and see what it smells like. That's how other people perceive your fragrance. I feel like that's the purest way to try something out and not have it on yourself. You need to kind of have some distance from it. Let me get off of my high horse lecturing people on how to try fragrances. But I really do like this. I'm going to score this a solid 8, maybe an 8.5, which is a pretty high score in my book. This is something that I have to think about whether I want a full bottle of this because I still have the original Donna Born in Roma. I have the intense version. Why do I feel like I have a third one? I've tried others. Oh, I know what I have. I have Green Extravaganza, which is fabulous. This would be a great addition. It's similar to the intense. It's almost like an extra intense version, Extradose, cymbal crash, da-dunk-dunk, of the intense version. And I feel like the jasmine in here is even smoother, like a creamier version of the one that's in the intense. So big thumbs up for this one. And who does not love a beautiful pink bottle? I do. I'll go next to Kayali's Fleur Majesty Rose Royale 31. Again, with these super duper long names. And so I have used this bottle. I've probably sprayed this about 15 or 20 times. And I swear it looks like there's no dent in it. And then here's this one. I don't know if it has to do with the atomizer sucking up more fluid. I've used this less than this one. Anyway, I guess that's like a combination of a physics and a math thing. Do I like this new Kayali fragrance? I'm going to say yes. This is a very pretty, easygoing spring fragrance. Does it offer something super unique? Like, let's be real. Does any fragrance out on the market right now offer something really unique? It's up to you just to decide whether this scent is something you like and whether you have something like this in your collection already or whether you can use something like this. Actually, among the fragrances that I'm going to talk about today, I would say one is a fairly unique profile and another one has some unique aspects. All of the others, you've smelled versions of something like that before. The same is true here. That does not take away from the fact that, in my opinion, this is also a pretty offering, particularly here in the spring. The opening of this is a little bit sharp and tart, but that is momentary, and then it starts to settle down into the next phase of it where the pear, I think, kind of shines through a little bit more than the rose facets, and then further into the experience as it continues to dry down about, 45 minutes into an hour, somewhere in there, you do get to experience a very pretty, easygoing, easy breezy, rose nuance with a very, very subtle musk. I also feel like there's a very slight sort of woody aspect to this in the background, and I don't know what's giving it that, but I guess it doesn't matter what is. That is the experience. I think the bottle's fairly pretty. It's an ombre effect. Let me look at the one on Sephora here with a sort of like pinkish tone at the top and this, well, it looks just like this, except in big bottle form, and this sort of violet-y bottom. Very pretty bottle, very pretty offering. It does get a little bit softer to the skin, longer into the wear. This one I've worn several times and then at night as well. And I would say about a couple of hours in, it's a lot closer to the skin, but still noticeable and very pretty. If anybody was thinking about purchasing this and you like rose, you like pear, this does have a Delina-esque vibe. It doesn't smell exactly like that. And I don't feel like it's a dupe of that or an alternative for that. They're different fragrances, but it's kind of in that family. And so I would score this fragrance, especially because we're in spring. And I love a good floral fruity for the springtime. I'm also going to label this in the 7 to 8 range. Pretty release, pretty bottle. I would consider picking up a full bottle of this, not because I need it, because I have a lot of rose fragrances and some that have lots of similarities to this, but because the bottle is pretty. And I think the lightness of this is perfect for this time of year going into, spring and summer. So the next fragrance is from a relatively newer house. I think they've been around for a couple of years and they've continued to produce new fragrances to add to their lineup. Day 3, they reached out and asked if I would like to try their new fragrance. I hope I pronounced this correctly, Aylan or Aylan. And their fragrances, I believe, are inspired by their experiences in the Dominican Republic. They're actually in the States, and I believe they're based out of Arizona or somewhere in the Southwest. And I said, sure, they have sent me a couple of fragrances in the past that I have enjoyed trying. This perfume has both feminine and masculine tones that I think play well together. Without looking at the notes, I would guess that this has a subtle saffron type of, very airy, light, delicate leatheriness to it, something akin to a tobacco note and vanilla. I believe there might be some florals in the fragrance. I forget the details of the notes, but that's my experience. And I always like to tell you, like, what is it that I smell versus what the notes say, because I think that's sort of a truer representation of what the fragrance actually will smell like than just reading folks the notes. I will say this reminded me significantly of Side Effect. It's got that sort of same Side Effect vibe, maybe with the vanilla amped up in this fragrance, because it does settle down with some sweetness to it. And so I think this is sort of a sultry, great fall, wintertime fragrance. I don't know that this is one that I would pull for in the summertime, but it's pretty. It's got some like substance and heft to it. And at the same time, it sits easy on the skin. I've sprayed it on myself and it smells more like Side Effect on me. I actually tried it out on my husband as well. And more interestingly, there's more of like a vanilla nuance. He said it was too sweet for him, which I found really interesting. And so I have to give this a full day wear, but I enjoyed trying it. I would say check out this house, maybe order some samples and see what you think. I've also owned La Tacita de Café, which I think I have shared with a friend at this point. And if you like coffee, I've moved away from coffee fragrances, but if you like coffee fragrances, that one is an award winner. And I still have Bani in my collection, which reminds me of like summertime lime and sugar. I think there's sugar cane in there. It's like a bright, fresh summertime fragrance. I'm looking at the list of fragrances. I know that Amber Dominicano is well known from Say Less and Downtown Deja Vu are also ones to check out. This bottle here is a 50 ml bottle and it retails for $155. Definitely check out this house. It's getting a lot of buzz. They're making some interesting fragrances. And a fragrance that has gotten a lot of hype on social media outlets, especially with young folks. It's from the house of Henry and Rose, and this is called Dave. And of course, the name Dave reminds me of Dave Matthews. And so I think about, what would Dave Matthews smell like? I don't know that I want to smell like whatever he smells like. And I love Dave Matthews music. So, oh my God, I don't know what to think about this. And so I can understand why people are nearly obsessed with this. It does have a warmth to it. Let me back up. It's mostly like a vanilla and tonka bean fragrance. There are other notes like neroli, and I feel like there's something floral in here based on what I remember from the description, but it's advertised as a mostly vanilla and tonka bean fragrance. So I do give it that it is like a warm sweater weather type of deal. It reminds me very heavily of Ness Vanilla Bourbon or Bourbon Vanilla. I feel like this has a little bit of a boozy accord to it. I would rate this probably a 5-ish. Somewhere between a 5 and a 6. I don't dislike it at all. This is not one that I would rush out to get a full bottle of, and I can't pinpoint why. Maybe it's because I have other fragrances that smell like this and that I would enjoy more. Yeah, it's like something boozy and maybe a little bit toasted, like a little bit of a toasted bread smell in the fragrance. I've been interested in this house. I like their bottle shapes, and I've heard good things about some of the fragrances. I've tried others before and had just mixed reactions to them. So anyway, this is Dave from Henry and Rose. Have you tried this? Do you like it? Please do let me know in the comments. I think I will skip on a full bottle of this and maybe just keep playing with the travel spray. I also got a travel spray from Brown Girl Jane. Let me take a minute to praise the packaging. This is gorgeous. This sort of pale pink with the gold, classy lettering and a little bit of sort of script on the side. This is nice. So I like that. I like the bottles for the brand. I don't love the big caps on them, but the shape of the bottle, the color, a very pretty aesthetic. I'm gonna need y'all that like this fragrance. This is Casino. I'm gonna need y'all to come down to the carpet so that we can chat. I need to know from you all why you like this. This is a big fat no for me. And I hate that because I was interested in the brand. So I want to know from you all, are there others that I should try that you think are good? The notes here, and it does smell like the notes. I'm sorry, I'm looking off to the side of my computer. Espresso, affogato, golden rum cake, and what does it say? A whisper of almond foam. Almond foam. This smells like a diner to me. This smells like a diner. I smell pancakes, I smell syrup, and it smells like old pancakes and syrup that have been left on the plate, where the people were sitting around the table talking for 2 and 3 hours while everybody else was at the front waiting for a table at IHOP. Y'all know that what I'm talking about. At the most crowded time, people don't want to leave their table. So you have the crew that sat there and ate all of the pancake stacks. They poured all the little syrups on it, and then they sat back, ate, and chatted for like 2 hours. And the smell coming up from that table is what this smells like to me. I don't like this at all. I have no interest in purchasing this fragrance, and I will probably give this travel spray away to someone who may enjoy it. I don't want to smell like old pancakes and syrup. Yeah. And it's pretty strong at that. So if you like this, I'm gonna need you to share with me why. And if you suggest I try any more from Brown Girl Jane, please do let me know your thoughts on the house. And if there are any that you would recommend I try. This is a no for me, a big fat yes on this beautiful packaging. Love it. So Avant-Garde sent me a number of fragrances to try out. Among them is the new one here called Latte Pistachio. In the last video, I shared Latte Mimosa or Mimosa Latte. I forget the exact name of it, and shared I didn't care for that one. It felt like a strange concoction to me that I couldn't figure out what I was smelling. This one, I'm happy to say, is a win. I would score this probably between a 7 and an 8. This is pleasant. So if you're a person that enjoys a pistachio smell, this definitely smells like pistachio. It also has this sort of whipped, airy nature to it while also smelling creamy. It feels like it has just the right amount of density. Not quite as thick as like Miami Shake, just enough heft, like in the middle. Yeah, you definitely get a nutty accord. There's sort of a happy, bright note, maybe something citrusy in it. And I definitely get a soft, creamy sandalwood base. I think this is a winner. And I think it's fairly unisex. The nutty aspect of it maybe feels a little bit feminine, but it comes across unisex overall. Yeah, I think this is a winner of a release. Check this out if you like nutty, creamy sandalwood, if that sounds appealing to you. I was really hoping to like this next fragrance because I like the idea of smelling like clean, fresh hair that has great products in it. This one is called L'Originale from Moroccan Oil. And so I want to like this. I think there are some redeeming aspects of this fragrance. I don't know that this is a full bottle for me. I will say this is going to be for those of you that like smelling minimalist and clean, and like there's an ethereal aspect to this fragrance. I found it to be a little bit softer in terms of its projection, and I feel like the fragrance fell apart on me a little bit. Mind you, I only tried this one time in all sincerity in an arm, so it deserves a second and third try, although I sprayed it many times on a blotter and continued to sniff, right? But I only wore it on my arm one time. The opening of this, the first 5 seconds is straight air freshener, straight out of a Febreze bottle. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually a pleasant smell. But you know, not many people want to smell like Febreze air freshener. As this settles down, I feel like it has these sort of soft, clean, soapy florals, soft, clean, soapy florals, perhaps some clean musk. And there's this very sort of gentle metallicness to this fragrance. The combination of them feels light and airy and fresh. And I think overall, it's a very interesting and unique composition. This was the perfume that I was referring to as smelling unique and different from all the rest, where it's hard to smell it and go, oh, this smells like such and such. There is something in the fragrance that becomes, for me, a tad bit annoying after a while. I do want to give this a full day wear though, because I feel like there's something redeeming in this. I appreciate that it's a unique offering, and I appreciate that it's in a category of fragrance that I'm growing to gravitate to more and more and love more and more. And that's like clean, everyday, easygoing fragrances, which this is. So I can't imagine that people would smell this on someone else and think that it smelled bad. I just don't know if this is a me fragrance. So we will try it. I'm going to score this, for those of you that like that kind of fragrance, probably in the 6.5, 7-ish range, which I think is pretty good. I just don't know that it's me. So okay, then we come to the one I've really been wanting to try, Flowerbomb Extreme. I want to give this a thumbs up and say I'm not going to run out and get a bottle of this, but I want to tell you why. Maybe I will. I'm still like up in the air. This is the original Flowerbomb DNA intensified. The opening has some kind of fruity note. I believe it's raspberry, but it's sort of in that berry family. So you do get that distinctly right up front in the opening. I feel like that fruity note, whatever that is, starts to fade off after a little bit. And you're left with the Flowerbomb DNA, which I enjoy. I happen to like that sort of floral patchouli combination. I forget what else is in there. I feel like there's something sort of clean smelling in the fragrance too. A combination of something deep from the patchouli, pretty from the florals, and clean from some other notes. I don't remember exactly what's in Flowerbomb. Oh, it also has a tea note, which my nose just doesn't perceive, but I know that it's there. This feels like the original Flowerbomb with an added dose of something like vanilla. I don't even know if vanilla is in the fragrance, to give it some creaminess and thickness and depth. Here's the thing about this, that I need to try this some more. When I tried it out, I wore it overnight one night, and my husband and I both liked it, but both felt there was something a little bit much in it. However, we were in close proximity to each other, and I had just sprayed it. So I haven't given this a full day wear. I do give it a full thumbs up. I think it's pretty. You do have to like that original Flowerbomb. If you didn't like that, you're probably going to hate this, because it's that times 10. Like I said, with this added creaminess and a fruity note at the top, I think it's a stunning fragrance. In fact, as I'm sniffing it here more, I'm like, maybe this is one that I'm going to pick up in the Sephora sale. So when I do that Sephora video, I will share what I am planning to add to cart and also just general recommendations. I have a few Sephora videos that I've done so far, and I will link those for you too so you can see the full gamut of recommendations. Because I am a Flowerbomb lover, I'm going to give this probably about an 8.5. The only reason it's not a full 10 is because I am wondering if the intensity of it is a little cloying and too much. I'm not sure. I want to wear this some more. I think it's really pretty. The bottle is so beautiful on this. Well, I just love a good pink bottle, like the Superdose or Extradose Valentino. What is it called? Valentino Born in Roma Extradose. Bottle is gorgeous because of that full pink, like it's like pink regalia, on a bottle or whatever. Same thing for Flowerbomb Extreme. And then in the last video, the purchase or pass one, our fragrance friend Jill out in Arizona, hey girl, hey, she said she had tried the new, this is what happens when you get old, y'all. You have to look at things like this. These are bifocal glasses. What are they actually called? I think they're called, not transitionals, progressives. That's the name, where there's like a stronger dose down here, a stronger prescription than on the top. But I still find myself, doing this. Anyway, L'Imperatrice Royale from Dolce & Gabbana. What a pretty travel spray bottle. These are just gorgeous in this sort of blushy, almost peachy pink, like it has a little bit of a brown tone in it. Y'all, I love looking at bottles and shapes and colors and all of that just as much as smelling the fragrance. This is pretty. So I used to have the original L'Imperatrice. That was a little too tart for me. This, I think, is more appropriate for me because it has not just like that light. I feel like the original, if I remember correctly, had rhubarb and I forget what else, maybe some other notes that kind of came across like a watermelon sort of deal, and it had musk. Is that right? Do I remember that correctly? This feels like that, except the sharp parts of it are toned down some. The musk is still there if there is musk. And then there's something that is a little bit denser and creamier about this than the original, which I actually quite like. I don't know if this is completely for me because it does still have some of that tartness from like a rhubarb type of note that is difficult for me to get along with, although I acknowledge that this is a pretty version and one that I will probably wear a couple of days to see if it's something that I want to get a full bottle of, because I do think it's pretty. This is a pretty fragrance. It's got light fruity tones, tartness, a little bit of creaminess, and some sort of musky base. I don't know if there's woodiness in here as well. I guess I should just look up the notes. Give me a second. Oh, maybe it's a cranberry note that is adding that sort of same tart experience that I had with the rhubarb. It's not as bad in here. And maybe that is why. This bottle is pretty. It's the same color as this. I'm a sucker for a beautiful nudie pink bottle. I love it. The keynotes called out are cranberry, pink azalea, and cedarwood. So there is some woodiness in this. I'm a big fan of a cedarwood sort of linear base to a fragrance. This is pretty. So you have to enjoy a little bit of tartness in your fruity floral fragrance to enjoy this. And so I'm going to give this about a 7 of a score and say full thumbs up on full bottle worthy. I'm not entirely sure whether I will get one, but I think it is full bottle worthy. And I'm going to test it some more and see, is it going to be in my Sephora cart? All right, you all, that's the 10 fragrances that I had to share. If you have tried any of these, I would appreciate if you would share your own thoughts and experiences with them in the comments. Did you enjoy them? Were they meh or did you hate them? Tell us everything. Tell us all the tea down in the comments. And don't forget to let me know if you'd like to see a Sephora sale recommendations video. See you in the next one. Take care. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to tell you. Hold on. If you're here to the end, can you give me a thumbs up? 1 and 2. Next weekend, we are going to have another So Avant-Garde sale. I am thrilled. I feel really lucky to be able to bring that sale to the audience 3 times in 3 months. We're going to have a good time with that video. I've got some beautiful spring recommendations in addition to the ones I had in the last video where we had the So Avant-Garde sale. So get your little pocketbooks ready and make sure you join me for that recommendations video next Friday morning. Y'all take care.